Hello, students. Wishing you all a great day today. I'm sure all of you must be missing school and would like to return back to have fun and enjoy those beautiful days at school. When we talk about school, oh, so many things come to mind. The school building, the school teachers, the school playground, the classrooms, and so many other things like the books, the bag, the tiffin, the school calendar. Oh, that's a wonderful book that gives us so much of knowledge about the rules and regulations of the school. These rules and regulations that are mentioned in the school calendar help to maintain law and order in the school. Such rules and regulations that are mentioned in the school calendar are known as the constitution of the school. Similarly, our country also has a constitution. Today, we are going to learn an interesting topic from your textbook entitled Constitutional Design. We have learned earlier that in a democracy, the rulers are not allowed to do whatever they want. There are certain basic rules that the citizen and the government need to follow. All these rules that the citizens and the government have to follow are known as the Constitution. The Constitution is said to be the supreme law of the country. Supreme law means it is the highest law of the country. The Constitution determines the rights of the citizens and the powers of the government and how the government has to function. As we go through this chapter, we will be answering a few very important questions like why do we need a constitution? How are the constitutions drawn? Who designs them and in what way? What are the values that shape the constitution and in what way? Once a constitution is made, can we make changes later on, depending upon the need? A country that very recently made a constitution for itself is South Africa. So let us go through this chapter by seeing how the South Africans went about getting a constitution for their country. When we talk about the democratic constitution in South Africa, the first thing that comes to mind is the work of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela said, I have fought against white domination and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all people live in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if need be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die for. These were the words of Nelson Mandela. You know that in South Africa there existed a system known as apartheid. Apartheid means racial discrimination which was made between the whites and the blacks. The whites would treat the blacks very badly. Nelson Mandela and a few other leaders fought against this apartheid, and for this he had to go into prison for around 28 years. He was imprisoned on the Robben Island in 1964. The system of apartheid was a system of racial discrimination which was very unique to South Africa. The white Europeans imposed this system on the South Africans. In fact, it was in the 17th and the 18th century that the European traders came to South Africa and occupied South Africa by using arms and ammunitions just as they had occupied India. And these Europeans who had settled in South Africa became the rulers of South Africa. The system of apartheid divided the people on the basis of their skin color. The native people of South Africa were black in color. They made up about three-fourths of the population, and because of their color, they were known as the blacks. Besides these two races, there were other people of mixed colors who were known as colored. Most of them were people who migrated from India. The white rulers treated all the other people as inferior. Inferior means lower than them. The non whites did not have voting rights. Non whites are the blacks. The apartheid system was oppressive to the blacks. Oppressive means it was harsh. The blacks were forbidden of living in the areas where the white lived. Forbidden means they were not allowed to live where the white people lived. They could work in white areas only if they had a permit. Hotels, hospitals, schools, colleges, libraries, theaters, swimming pools, everything was separate for the whites and separate for the blacks. This kind of a separation was known as segregation. The blacks could not even visit the churches where the whites went to worship. The blacks could not form associations or protest against the treatment given to them by the whites. Since 1950, the blacks, the colored, and the Indians fought against apartheid. They launched protest marches and strikes. The African National Congress, which is also known as ANC, fought and led the struggle against the system of segregation. This included many workers' unions and the Communist Party. Many whites who were not in favor of this treatment that was meted out to the blacks joined the African National Congress and fought against the system of segregation. Many countries denounced apartheid as an unjust and racist system. Denounced means they were not in favor of the system. But the white racist government continued to rule by detaining, torturing, and killing the blacks. Let's move on to a new subtopic towards a new constitution. As the protest and struggle against apartheid had increased, the white government realized that they could no longer keep the blacks under their control. So, the white regime, that is the white government, changed its policies. Discriminatory laws were repealed. Repealed means they were revoked or they were removed. So the whites removed some of the laws that they had laid down earlier. Ban on political parties and restrictions on media were lifted. After 28 years of imprisonment, Nelson Mandela walked out of the jail as a free man. Finally, at the midnight stroke of 26th April 1994, the new national flag of the Republic of South Africa was unfurled, making the newly born democracy in the world. So, with the release of Nelson Mandela from prison, South Africa got a constitution and democracy came into existence there. Thus, the apartheid government came to an end. That means racial discrimination came to an end in South Africa, paving the way for a multi-racial government. After the emergence of the new South African government, black leaders appealed to the blacks to forgive the whites for the atrocities they had committed. That means the whites were forgiven by the blacks for all the wrong that they had done towards the black people. The blacks said, "Let us build a new South Africa based on equality of all races and men and women, on democratic values, social justice, and human rights." The party that struggled for this freedom in Africa drew up the new constitution for South Africa. After 2 years of discussion and debate, this country came out with one of the finest constitutions in the world. The South African Constitution inspires Democrats all over the world. Before 1994, South Africa was seen as one of the most undemocratic countries, but now, after 1994, it came to be known as one of the country that had the best democracy. What made this change possible was the determination of the people to work together to transform the bitter experiences into the binding glue of a rainbow nation. So, see, we get a wonderful lesson to learn from this nation, that if we are determined, anything is possible. Speaking on the South African Constitution, Mandela said, "The Constitution of South Africa speaks of both the past and the future. On one hand, it is a solemn pact that we as South Africans declare to one another that we shall never permit a repetition of our racist and brutal past. But it is more than that. It is a charter for the transformation of our country into one which is truly shared by all the people. A country in which the fullest sense belongs to all of us, black and white women and men." Today, South Africans call themselves a rainbow nation. South Africa's struggle for freedom reminds us of our own national struggle for freedom. Now, let us move on to see why we need a constitution. The South African Constitution is a good way to understand why we need a constitution. And what do constitutions do?